James Becker started in real estate in 1989. No leads, no technology, no safety net. He's now the founder and CEO of Fusion Growth Partners, one of the most quietly powerful growth organizations in real estate, partnering with over 1,000 agents across 47 states to build real, profitable businesses. In this episode, James reveals what separates the pros from everyone else and why most agents are stuck in short-term thinking, how fear and anxiety destroy momentum, and why empathy and trust are the new currency in an AI-driven market. He shares how he went from surviving a total market collapse to building an infrastructure that does the work for agents so they can focus on people, not paperwork. We break down the mentorship that changed his life, the lessons he learned from calling every top agent who wouldn't call him back, and how Fusion Growth Partners became the operations engine behind hundreds of top producing teams. We'll also talk about why he believes the next wave of market winners are being built right now by the agents investing in brand, systems, and long-term relationships. Let's get into my sit down with Fusion Growth Partners CEO, James Becker.
The market stopped on a dime. So I called him. It's a competitor. And he answered his phone. He changed my life.
It's a lonely time right now, 4 million existing home sales for the last 3 years.
Out of 400 realtors, I ended up being number 18, and I was 25 or 26.
What unlocked the next level for you?
People who are active right now are gonna get the majority of that business. We're hitting people 10 plus times a month.
It's marketing and it's compensation.
Only constrained the real estate market for so long.
James, I love being here, man. In Denver at your event.
We're super excited to have you.
Dude, tomorrow we're gonna tear it apart. I mean, you got a great lineup, and it's for everybody that's now listening to this pod. They're like, "Wait, what event? I missed it. How did I miss it?" Do you do this every year?
We do it about every other year, but we're gonna try and do it every single year.
Okay.
But it's a major undertaking, and
so get on the Fusion Rally radar because I know tomorrow's event is gonna be. I just spent
we've got
some
a
time
full
with,
house.
Spent some time with Michael, and if you're listening to this pod, you probably just listened to the Michael pod.
Yep.
And I really appreciate being here. So this is a lot of fun.
Super happy to have you here.
And I'm looking forward to this conversation because there's probably a large number of the audience that this might be the first introduction to you, a leader in our space, and CEO in our industry who's been through a lot of it, from the agent side all the way to the mortgage side, to what you're doing today to build teams and build profits. So you've seen a lot of it.
Yep.
I want you to just take us back to the beginning. You have a pretty cool mentorship story. And I think in our space right now, in our industry, there's too many agents that aren't seeking out true mentorship, or are seeking it out and aren't finding it. Mentorship's so important for the growth, and just
massive.
It's a lonely time right now. 4 million existing home sales for the last 3 years. Year after year. Those are bottom numbers. And so take us back to the beginning, how you started in real estate and what mentorship has meant for you in your growth.
So I'll take you back to when I started. I started in about 89 actually is when I got licensed. I was in Sacramento. The market was super hot, and I had another job, another sales job. I did an open house on the weekend. I got 3 prospects. I took 1 prospect out the next day, showed her 7 houses, and asked her, which home do you want to buy? She says, well, at lunch, I'll let you know which one. I run to my broker's house, and I go, I don't know what to do, because I've never even read a contract. I didn't know what title insurance was. I didn't know what escrow is. And so I had to write in on pencil. It was only 4-page contract at the time, what to write. I met her after lunchtime. She told me what house. I copied over the lightly written pencil.
Guys, there's no MLS or Zillow back in these days.
It wasn't that long ago. There was MLS, but it came out on facsimile. There was no pictures,
not the way we have it on our phone. It
was
not phones.
It was nothing like that. It was a fax machine that would give you a list of homes. Anyhow, I sold that home. I was hooked. I quit my job the next day. 6 months later, we had Desert Shield. The market stopped on a dime. Just absolutely stopped on a dime. I was recently married. My wife was pregnant, and I was scared to death. I'm old school. I felt like it's my opportunity, my responsibility to take care of my wife, put food on the table so that she could be home and take care of the house and our soon-to-be-born child. And so, I was filled with anxiety. Like, it was brutal. Like, there was nothing going on. And I came into the office and I cold called from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. And I had to script something along the lines of, oh, hi, this is James Becker from Lyon and Associates. And I have a buyer that's looking for a home in Arden Park and that wants a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and you have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Are you interested in selling your home? No, I'm not. I'm going to be taking out feet first. Okay, great, thanks. And then dial the next one. It was over and over and over again.
An old school script that,
Yep.
Hey, you learned it and you were running with it. You were willing to make the calls.
Yeah. So what would happen is some people would say, well, maybe next year. So I would database them so that we could follow up with them. But I did it so much, I had all these ladies in the cubicles around me that moved all of their desks because they couldn't stand me doing it one more time. But I had no other choice. So Lyon and Associates was the #1 company in Sacramento at the time. And we went to the awards ceremony. And out of 400 realtors, I ended up being number 18, and I was 25 or 26.
Sure.
And that was a big deal because all the people in the business were really seasoned people, and this was my first year.
Isn't that the thing when you don't have a choice? You were like, man, I had to make all those calls, whether it was a great script or not. Like, I had to make all those calls because I didn't have a choice. When you have a choice in this business, it's really easy to not make the call.
Well,
so that's the thing. When you have your back to the wall and you have to do it, it just becomes obvious to make the call. Where not everybody, I almost look at that as a luxury.
Yeah.
Because not everybody's making the call today.
Well, my keynote tomorrow is about opportunity and choosing that opportunity. It's actually looking at the movie Rocky and how it's really a spiritual journey of someone getting an opportunity and stepping into that opportunity. I think we have a lot of people in our industry. There's opportunity there that they have to rise to the occasion, but they're not doing it. They're phoning it in. And that's a part of what my keynote is. But for me, for the way that I was raised, it was not a choice, right? I would have been ashamed if I wasn't able to take care of my family. At such a deep level, it wasn't a choice.
And you just had a kid. I mean, you
it was on its way.
You had no. So going from hey, I don't have a choice. I got to make these calls. Like, what unlocked the next level for you?
Well, that's goes into this story. I was 18 in the company, and so I called everybody that was in the top 10, every single person, and I said, I'm James Becker. I'm number 18 in the company, and I would love to buy you lunch. I want to learn.
So these are your competitors / brokerage
same
members.
Company.
Same company. But it's interesting. I'll have to ask you about that. Like, there's competitiveness, but you're the same company. So you're calling the top 10 in the same company, offering out an olive branch to get connected.
Yeah, I wanted to learn. I was going to do whatever I could. Not one of the 10 people I called me back.
Yeah, they were busy, I guess.
Not one. So, but this is the interesting thing. So there was a guy by the name of Fran Dixon, who is the #1 agent in all of Northern California, selling in Sacramento, which compared to the Bay Area or Los Angeles, it was nothing. But he was #1 in Coldwell Banker. And so I called him. It's a competitor. And he answered his phone. None of these other people answered their phones. He answered his phone. And I said, Fran, you don't know who I am, and I explained who I was. And I said, I'm really just trying to learn. And no one in my own company will call me back, so I decided to call the next company. And he goes, what you doing tomorrow? Like, literally, I had lunch the next day. It lasted 4 hours. I didn't ask a question. He controlled the conversation the whole time.
Wow.
And 2 months later, I was working for him. Right?
So that's the thing. Did he take the call for the recruiting opportunity where the agents in your brokerage didn't take the call?
He did, but that guy changed my life. He changed my life. He was the ultimate professional. He dressed the part. He was absolutely the best agent possible. He wrote contracts. He cared about his clients. I would go into a negotiation with him, and he'd walk in with an offer, and these clients would say, "Oh no!" And by the way, the market was dropping like crazy. It was much worse than 2008, if you can believe that, at least in Sacramento, because we lost the Home Depot. We lost 2 bases all at the same time. This is when Clinton was shutting down.
Local dynamics matter, and so you had a local situation.
Brutal. You go down streets, there was a sign on every single house. Can you imagine trying to get a buyer to make a decision when every house is for sale?
I dealt with it in Connecticut during Superstorm Sandy on the shoreline.
Yeah.
You'd have 60 listings on one waterfront stretch.
Yeah.
Out of 120, every other home was listed.
Yep.
And buyers couldn't make sense of a storm, and
Yep.
they couldn't make sense of flood insurance.
Yep. So anyhow, I ended up working for this guy for 3 years, and I just modeled what he did. But he would walk in, and he would say, "Here's what the offer is," and these people would say, "No way, I'm not going to do it." 3 hours later, he would take that time with them and explain to them the market's going down. Here's where we're going. Here's what your risks are. You don't have to take this offer, but I still have a house. I don't have to move. You have to move. So what are your choices? And he would walk out with the signed contract because it was best for them. And he was really attached to that. So that had a really strong impact on me just watching him. And he made some money on me, but I got so much more out of being with this individual. And just to give you an idea, in 1993, he sold 100 homes with one assistant.
Yep.
Nobody was selling 100 homes back there. Not these. There was no mega teams back then. He was it, and it was amazing. His attention to detail and everything else. It was fascinating.
That was like a true apprenticeship. And you said it, hey, yeah, he ended up taking that lunch, and you ended up working for him, and maybe he made a little bit there, but you learned a whole lot more.
I got the better part of the deal for sure.
Yeah. Right now you have some, not all, agents with the mindset of like, well, how do I get the best cap or the best split, or I don't want to give up anything on any deal. It's more of a short-term thinking than long-term. Have we lost long-term thinking in this industry, or do you still see it existing today?
I don't know if it ever existed except for the top producers. All the top producers have long-term thinking, all of them. That's why they're top producers, for sure. The people who are struggling going in the up and down cycle are looking for what they can do right now to make a check right now, but they're selling their future business down the river by doing that. You can in health, in wellness, in relationships, you can make short-term decisions that make you feel good, but ultimately have long-term negative effects. Like picking up a cigarette, you might enjoy that nicotine rush, but
hey, cigars. I mean,
cigars. Do they have nicotine?
Yeah.
You don't inhale though, right?
You don't inhale.
Cigars are good for you.
That's what I've heard, that cigars are good for you.
Well, they say nicotine, maybe.
But you know what I'm saying.
This is not a health podcast.
It's one of the things I talk about more than anything with the clients that we have. And we argue with our clients all the time, but they're constantly making decisions that are really short term. Most of them are out of fear or anxiety, and they're not looking long term. I don't think Warren Buffett made a lot of short-term decisions.
No. Never. And, right now...
You think Jamie Dimon makes short-term decisions?
No. Right now you have some major companies making what I would call very long-term decisions.
Yes.
When you're making some of the acquisitions that these companies are making,
Yep.
spending the kind of money,
Yep.
Engaging in the type of lawsuits... You don't engage in these types of lawsuits.
It's good theater.
If you think, there's not going to be a lot of money to be made in a couple of years.
Yep.
There's going to be a lot of money,
a
lot of opportunity out there over the next couple of years for everybody in this space.
Yeah, we have Rory, who's going to be zooming in our event for
If you're
for
listening, like,
Compass.
who's Rory? Rory Galad, president of Growth Compass. I've had him on the pod recently. Go back and give it a
President of
listen.
Growth for
Yeah.
number 2 in the company.
Yep.
And I was just having lunch with somebody, and I was saying, Compass has such a strong brand, and it's one broker. It's a very tight package and company that they have. And what's interesting to me is they're buying Anywhere that has 10 brands. They have their own brokerage that has 70 or 80,000 agents, I think. But then you have all these independent brokers, all these different brands, franchisees. It just seems like a massive undertaking to figure out how you're going to put that all under one umbrella. But I'm sure that they know what they're doing. It's a bold move on what it is that they're doing. And if it goes through and it's successful, it's going to have huge ramifications for the entire industry.
Yeah, I think the overall point of it is if they're making these bets,
Yep.
then, okay, you can really practically predict that there's long-term opportunity in our space. So if we're taking it back to the listener of this pod right now, I'm an agent and I'm listening, and it's like, okay, well, if there's long-term opportunity, where do I invest my time and dollars right now? And how much right now should I be willing to push into the middle, knowing that it's going to pay off long-term?
Okay, I have an opinion on this. And my opinion is that as AI comes about and as we have robotics come about, the AI is basically a psychopath. It can mimic feelings, but it's not real. You have to have feelings and be real to have empathy, and you have to have empathy to actually care about an outcome. Computer cannot care about an outcome. And so if you want to have an agent that cares about an outcome that's going to do some fighting for you, you have to have somebody who is real. And so what I am sharing with the people who listen to me is that I believe that you have to go deep into building your brand as a trustworthy source and deepening relationships at as deep a level as you can. Because I don't think those feelings are going to go away. And if you have that is a separating factor. And so then how do you take those relationships and expand that into economic benefits? And for me, I want to do business with people that I know, like, and trust. Mm-hmm. And it's really important. And I've done a lot of business, running a company that's fairly good size. We have over 300 employees. I'm doing business with people that I don't know. If I don't have a connection to them through some sort of other source, I have plenty of companies that don't come through on their promises, and they don't care. They don't care. And so when I'm doing a deal, I'm looking at this long term, like, is this person actually going to give a darn 6 months into this relationship? If something goes bad, are they going to take my call? And I think people that are selling a home absolutely are worried about that. And I think that that's for the regular agent. I'm not talking about bigger companies. I'm talking about the regular agent. Relationships are everything, and your reputation is everything. And so what that means is, how do you get a good reputation? You answer the phone. You call people back. You show up when you say you're going to show up. All of those little things are going to matter, I think, big time. I could be wrong, but that's what my feeling is on it.
And so,
what's your thought?
No, I mean, relationships always matter.
Yep.
Okay, you can have one NAR member that gets a certain thing done within the association, certain support, and somebody else can have the same exact scenario happen to them, and they don't get a phone call back. Now, I'm using the association as the example because the person that got the phone call back in the association, air quotes, played the game or was better at creating those relationships. Now, that is an example that is on the fringes that you don't like to see. That's a gated example,
Right.
that exists, unfortunately, within not only that NAR, but a lot of different scenarios. But how do things become gated? How do some people get more than others? Well, it often starts with the ability to influence through a strong relationship. And then you have a lot of good examples of, the opposite of what I just talked about with gated, where it's just like, man, I'll do anything for him. Like Sharon talks about this right now. For the next 10 years, he wants to invest in 10 partnerships.
Yep.
Life partnerships, where he'll do anything for those partners. Me and Eric are lucky enough to be one of those. Alex Hermosi with acquisition, Neil Dinger and Sharon have that relationship.
Yep.
Those are just like good personal relationships that matter so much that any favor can be asked. And if there's time to make it happen, or you make the time to make it happen. For the agent, when they're building their business right now, it's like, well, those relationships are hard. Those relationships take time to build. So the agent who's a long-term thinker is going to build those along the way.
But what's the value of your relationship potentially with Sharon over the long haul?
I mean, so our relationship started, mine and Sharon's, almost 15 years ago. And so, what was the value of it 15 years ago? It was, I got to sit in a hotel suite, much like the one we're sitting in right now, and be a fly on the wall with a room full of people that were so far beyond. I was just starting out.
It's that mentorship piece.
So far beyond anything I could even kind of imagine at the time. And I just got to stand in the corner and just kind of listen. And so that was a lot of value at the time, because I had to go back and put some of those things into practice and what have you. Today, having Sharon on the BAM board, I mean, wow, the value's endless.
He's one of 5 of the most influential people in real estate today.
Absolutely.
Sure.
So I want to ask you, the agent that's like, man, okay, I'll create those relationships, but they may not really pay off monetarily for a decade or 2 decades. How do I make money as I'm playing the long game?
Right now, if someone was just starting off.
I'm willing to play the long game, James. I'm a new agent. I want to play the long game because I want this to be my career. Real estate can take you a lot of different ways. So I really want it, and I want it to be long term. But I also need to make money in the short term, the next 90 days, the next 180 days. How do I make money now while truly building for the long term?
So our viewpoint is that you build a database of people that that you have an association with, and you market to them like crazy. So 200, 300, 500 people.
How many times a year for those 500 people?
Well,
when you say like crazy, give me a number.
We're hitting people 10 plus times a month. Okay, in sphere of influence.
There's a number out there.
And that's digital, that's direct mail, that's Facebook, that's telephone calling, that's events that are happening on a biannual basis.
There's a number out there, and Bobby can fact check this and flash some text on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. I think it's 28 times a month is what Geico tries to hit their customer.
We use that as a model for us is Progressive and Geico's advertising model.
Okay. So, double-digit times every month for the 500 people who already know you.
Yes.
That's step one.
So now, most people sell a home over a 10-year period. That's what the numbers are. It's getting longer and longer based upon the current economic situation or circumstances, but it's about 10 years.
Yeah, Northeast, it's like 12 or 13.
If you spend, just to give you an idea, if it takes 10 years and you're marketing one person, you're spending $30 a month or $25 a month per person in your database, and it takes 10 years. If your average commission is $15,000, you spent in total $3,000. $3,000 to get $15,000.
That's if you got.
Where can you get an ROI like that?
But that's also if you got 0 referrals along the way.
Exactly. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to market. We want, one, our people to be the professional that they would hire, which is really hard to do. People go, oh, yeah, I would list with me. Bullshit. Excuse me. I shouldn't have sworn. But
this is BAM, James.
Okay.
Welcome to BAM.
So sometimes I do a little bit of a talk, and I said, who here would list their home with themselves if you didn't know you and you weren't getting your commission? Everybody raises their hands, and that's just absolute bullshit.
Yeah.
And so if they say, I'm going to become the person I would actually hire, that means they have to be one of the best agents in the business. That takes a little, or in their local area. And then they have to do things that they would want. You'd want someone who actually cares about the client, not about the commission, about the client. Answers the phone, returns telephone calls, all of those types of things.
Sure.
That's really hard to do. What was the question? I lost my train of thought.
Step one, 500 people,
Okay,
200
so
people
five-
that actually, you're just starting out. Okay, I
Yep.
do know 200 people. I know their name, whatever, that you're going to market to 10 plus times a month.
Yep.
Step two from there.
Step two from there, then I would do open houses, and I would
Okay.
do them all day long. So if I was at a smaller broker that didn't have listings and I was brand new, that would be tough. I would probably want to be at a broker that had a lot of listings, or with an LPT or EXP, that there's lots of agents in the area that you could hold homes open. You can hold open houses every single day. You can do them from 3 to 5 when people are picking up their kids. I used to get a lot of business, and you can make telephone calls inside the house. And when someone walks in, you have a live person.
So step two, get around, what I like to say, get around a bunch of deals. If you're in an office where there's only
Yes.
5 deals going on a month, well, guess what?
You gotta get
might
around-
be lucky enough to be the 6th.
You have to get around inventory.
You got to be in it.
Yep. You have to be around inventory.
You're not going to be brand new, join an office that's only posting 5 deals a month on the board, and then all of a sudden you're gonna do what, 100% of that? You're gonna do
Yeah.
5 deals yourself?
Yeah.
Doesn't work that way.
Your production is going to represent the people that you're around, for sure, in most cases.
Yeah, and we're talking generally here.
Right.
Well, I want to play a high percentage, so
Yep.
a high percentage is me getting around a lot of deals.
My viewpoint is you have to be around the inventory. And if you have inventory, and if I was holding open houses, I would have a ton of signs. And, when I had a mortgage company, and that kind of crashed around 2010, and I started the real estate company back up around 2011. We had all of these repos that were vacant, and I would put out 20 signs. I'd sit in open house 4 hours a day, and I'd be making telephone calls inside the vacant home. I'd have 3 or 4 people come in, and I was good at getting their names and numbers and communicating with them, and then I put them into a database. And a lot of those people that are coming into open homes, they're not tire kickers. There's an interest there.
Yeah.
And so if you have a couple of sales skills or scripts, you can start moving that down the way into potentially a transaction.
You can unlock and classify where they are. Meaning most people at an open house, or some people at an open house, are top of the funnel. And how they get classified a lot in our industry by
Yep.
agents are that they were looky-loos or tire kickers.
Yep.
When they're really just 2 years out,
Yep.
and you didn't have a system to support the next 24 months of their curiosity journey.
Yep.
And there's a whole bunch of steps in that 24 months that they're going to
Yep.
go through. There's education that they're going to need.
Yep.
There's communication that they're going to need over the
Yep.
24 months. But you never classified them. You never were curious enough to find out that that's where they're truly at,
Right?
and then built a plan around that.
Yep. But let's go back to the 500 people in your database. So
Okay.
if you have 100 people, there's a good chance 10 of those people are going to do a transaction this year.
Or know somebody who will. It's about 10 to 20% will do or will know somebody.
It's if you're selling, if the average person is selling every 10 years, and it's probably
Okay,
about
yeah,
12, it's
yeah.
going to be about 10%.
If they're all, that's if they're all
And half
homeowners. That's if they're all, yes. So
well,
let's
most of
let's
these
break
people
that
you're
down.
going to put in the database are homeowners.
Well, I would argue that
Unless-
I would argue if you're brand new, you don't know 100 homeowners. So So you got to start with 100
Well,
people that you know.
If you grew up in a neighborhood and you're still in that neighborhood that you grew up, that you went to high school and maybe you're a college, you've got friends who have parents. Those people could go in your database.
Yep.
Like your friends' parents are ripe prospects.
Okay.
If you're a good kid that wasn't, doing a whole bunch of bad stuff and they didn't like you.
That's why I didn't start with 100 people in my database, I guess.
But there's business right there. So the question is how do I make sure that if these people are doing business, I get an invitation to the kitchen table? Because if you get to the kitchen table, you have an 80% chance of getting the business.
Hey, real quick, I've got something for you, and it's completely free. If you're serious about growing as an agent in this market, this is the single best resource that I can point you to. It's called BAMX, the #1 agent community built to help you close more deals and build a real brand. Inside, you'll get weekly content templates, video scripts, blogs, and emails done for you, and over 30 on-demand courses like Sharon Travatz's 6-part productivity playbook. These are the same systems top producers like Andrew Undum, Chris Benjamin are using right now to win listings, grow their teams, and dominate their markets. Here's the best part. When you start your free 7-day trial, you're not just browsing a dashboard. You're getting the exact templates, video scripts, and local content packs agents are using right now to build up their brand and attract clients. You can literally start posting and creating hyper-local content today. And once you're inside, you'll also see why so many members stick around, because BAMX includes over $5,000 in built-in tools, just free inside of the program. That includes Zoodealio, your branded cash offer platform, so you can show up to every listing appointment with 4 offers in hand. Like nobody's doing that. And Mosaic, the client experience system that helps you keep those clients for life post-close. Between the training, the content, and those platforms, this is the best deal in real estate, period. We're basically paying you to become a member. Go to school.com/BAMX or hit the link below. Start your 7-day free trial and explore everything inside. If you decide to stay, your rate is locked in for life. See you in there.
So the fight is to get to the kitchen table. That's it. And so I'll give a little tip that we argue for our clients is we tell them never ask for the business. Ask to interview for the job. Look, if Byron, you're thinking about selling your home, I've been working really hard to put together a really, I believe, a powerful package of value services for people that are buying and selling. And, I think one thing that's really important, you should definitely hire the very best person for the job. And what I want to ask is, would you be open potentially to me just sharing with you the package that I've put together to see if it might be something you'd like to consider? And by the way...
Yeah, sure. Email it to me, James.
Yeah. And by the way, if you don't choose me, I'll never be upset, only appreciative of the opportunity.
So what if I, just email it to me, James.
Yeah, I have to actually walk you through it. Would you be open to that?
I don't know. You can't just email it?
Well, I suppose I can't. Are you open to me interviewing for the job? Because that's what I want to do. I don't want to just send you my resume. I'd like to interview for the job.
So I like that you keep asking. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I can tell you, if I ask it in that way, and particularly if you say, look, if you don't choose me, I'll never be upset, only appreciative of the job. If you keep yourself in a humble spot, people feel really safe with that. Now, I've got agents that will not do that. And they won't do it because they say, I'm going to be super upset if I don't get it, right? But you have to allow people the freedom to let them know they're not going to be stuck with you at the kitchen table if they don't want to do business with you.
Yeah.
But if you get to the table, it's an 80-90% chance that you. So the job is to get to the kitchen table. You there, most likely you've got the list.
That's the #1 goal on these conversations, is to get the appointment.
Yep.
We're fully aligned on that. And I think where we're also aligned is, low pressure, really no obligation is a really great approach to getting to the table, to getting the appointment set.
Yep.
So you go high pressure, a lot of strings attached. You're not getting that appointment, not in today's day of age. Okay,
No.
pressure sales are not converting, but really low pressure. Like, hey, if somebody's curious about the process, one of the three things you're going to solve in any of these appointments is going to be price, right? You're only solving for three things at the kitchen table.
Yep.
It's price, it's marketing, and it's compensation. If you can solve for all three of those.
Well, they have to trust you.
Yeah. If you solve for all three of them, guess what? They're going to trust you.
Yep.
If they feel good about
Yep.
and trust in the price.
Yep.
If they trust in your marketing.
Yep.
And they trust that they got the right comp plan.
Yep.
Well, guess what? They trust in you.
Yep.
And so the body language and how they feel about you only gets enhanced when you have a process that is undeniable that covers those three things.
Yep.
And when somebody wants it to be emailed, there's one of those components, the price, that is just not emailable. And it's the condition of the home that nobody can account for, which is why the estimates are so off.
Yeah.
Can't account for condition of the home until I see the home. So we're never going to be able to solve for price. I can give you an idea or a guess, but what we do is a 10 to 15 minute check on the price of the home. It's called a price check.
Yep.
And at that time, I can give you the three selling, pricing strategies. I can give you a full, complete comps packet.
Yep.
And I can leave you with a simple net sheet. So no matter what, you've got everything you need on price that whether you use me or not, you're going to have that information to move forward.
Yeah,
and it's going to be accurate.
Yeah, no, that's strong.
Because when people get stuck so often on the, I really just want to come and present. But what's the reason you want to come and present in person? Because what the other person is thinking is, I don't really want you in my home because, I want to go home that night and lay on my couch and watch the ball game and eat a bowl of ice cream. And I don't want you sitting there while I do it.
Yep.
What's the reason I'm going to have you in my home? And so a simple 10 to 15 minute price check on what I can't see from my computer, condition, and you can't actually involve comps into or I'm saying pending sales.
Yep.
You can do comps on an algorithm, but not the pending sales based on the condition and the improvements that you've made.
Yep.
Now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah. I think that's the difference, though, between leads and SOI that you've branded yourself to such a high level. Because if there's a little bit of a relationship and you're asking to interview, 99% they're going to say yes and they're going to invite you into the home.
Yeah.
And it's attached to like you need to hire the best person. It may be me, it may be somebody else, and I'm okay either way. I just want to present to you what it is I do, and then you make a choice. It's so non-threatening that it allows people to say yes. And then the key for me in this is not will you do it, what's better for you Tuesday at 2 or Thursday at 4. It's are you open to that? Mm-hmm. And as a society, we're taught that we should be open to things. Mm-hmm. And so it's really hard not to say.
Phil Jones 101.
Yeah. So it's really hard for someone to say, I'm not open to that. Yeah. And so once they say they're open to it, okay, great. What time works for you? And then it's kind of a fish trap. You know what a fish trap is? It's wide opening that gets narrow and narrow, and then they're in the basket.
Perfect. Yeah. I like it.
Yep.
All right. So we kind of went down the rabbit hole.
It was great.
You've got the database.
Yep.
You've got the open houses.
Yep.
And then third step. Is there a third step? It's just do it.
We do too many different things. Yeah. I mean, it's to me, I listen to a lot of talks on YouTube, like a ton, maybe an hour and a half every single day. Mm-hmm. And when I'm listening to these VC guys and all of these top CEOs the access we have now is incredible. They're all telling you to be focused on one area and to become great in that area before you start adding stuff on. Alex Hormozi talks about this all the time. He had 19 different businesses, and he couldn't make any money until he focused on the one business. Yeah. And once he had that going, then he could go do something else. But he had to get good at that one thing.
Eric, the broke agent, my partner in BAM, of course, he just spent a day over at acquisition headquarters. And what you just said,
I'm sure that was fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
He got, obviously anytime you're with Alex Hermosa, you're going to get a lot out of that. But, that was a core belief that, Alex kept coming back to was, okay, you're talking about a lot of different things, but what's the focus now? What's the one thing that you're really focused on solving for?
Yep.
And you can almost get rid of stuff by process of elimination.
The other stuff is more of a distraction than anything else. I mean, you pick one or two good things and then you go all in. I really believe that. Charles Munger talked about that with investments. He says you only need 6 good investments. Anyone who's teaching diversity in investing doesn't know what they're talking about. That's Charles Munger's, Warren Buffett's partner. He only had like 6 stocks that he invested in.
Because if they're winning companies,
why
would you add a basket of 10 losers?
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah,
to diversify.
You look at the great. I mean, to your point, you look at the greatest in their fields.
Yep.
When Michael Jordan hired Tim Grover, and then Kobe copied him and hired Tim Grover. What did they do? They just worked for hours in the gym on that one move that they were adding to the repertoire. Every summer they'd add a new move, right? And they'd repeat it.
Well, look at Amazon.
150 times a day.
They sold books. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Until those started to work, and then he started to add something else. But he had to get one thing that worked.
And you get that one thing that worked, and you just repeat it. So you're building, and you have a very successful company with Fusion. And that's why I'm here today.
Yep.
To be able to spend some time with, at your event tomorrow, and Fusion members and non-Fusion members, right?
Yes.
You're teaching people how to build a team and profits from that team. And a lot of teams in real estate right now are just not profitable.
Yeah.
And so
go ahead.
I think for anybody who's like, man, I haven't heard of, I don't know what's going on with this Fusion thing.
Nobody knows who we are.
Right? But you got over 1,000 agents and nobody knows who you are, which to me, it's like, whoa, I'd love you to just spend some time talking about it, because 1,000 agents, that's a real number.
Yep.
And so I'd like to just bring a little bit of awareness to it, what you guys are doing.
Yeah. So we don't necessarily teach, we do. So when we partner with someone, I was coming up with this analogy earlier today. If, let's say, you owned some acreage and you're not really doing anything with it, maybe you got a couple of fruit trees on it, but that's it. And I come to you and say, I'm going to plow, I'm going to lever the field, I'm going to bring the seeds, I'm going to plant the seeds for you, I'm going to till the garden, I'm going to irrigate for you. And when the corn is totally ready to go, you get to harvest the bounty. And I just want a little bit at the end when you go to market with your bounty.
So let's grow cigars. I'll keep 90% of them, and I'll give you a box.
Okay, perfect. That's basically what we do. We come in, we don't teach, we actually do the work. We set up the systems, we put together the procedures. Our employees run those systems. I pay those employees. We're now actually paying for the advertising for our clients. I pay for that. They don't pay for that. And so we spend a lot of time not teaching, but arguing for what we believe is best practice.
So you're without the agent having to hire an operational staff.
Yep.
You're coming in and you are that operational staff for the agent.
Yes.
Where the agent doesn't have to put, if it's marketing, they don't have to put that skin in the game up front, or if it's going out.
They have to have a little skin in the game.
But my point is not as much as they would if it was all on their shoulders, because then you got to figure out, okay, who do I use as a vendor to run this ad, and how do I manage that vendor?
We manage all of that. We want our people making friends and serving people. That's it. And so our team model isn't really a traditional team model. We call it the Beyoncé backup dancer business model. And so what that is our agents, they're Beyoncé. If they're a girl or a guy, doesn't matter. They're Beyoncé. They are the star of the show, and the clients want them to be at the kitchen table negotiating the deal.
Okay.
And so that's what we do. Beyoncé doesn't have to have a backup dancer, but her show is much better with the backup dancers. She also doesn't want to negotiate the arena or sell the tickets or do all those things. She just needs to focus on her show and how good that show is. So that's what we want to do. So when you bring in what I guess you could say we're buyer agents at what time, but to me we call them associate agents. where they're doing everything except the first meeting, the negotiation of the deal, and showing up and closing the deal. Everything else is done by the associate. So it's very much like a law firm where you have the main attorney who will be first chair, but the associate who is sitting second chair, the brief, some of the meetings with the clients, those are all done by associates. And so that allows the main chair to go out and get more business and then to increase the value of their time on an hourly basis because they're reducing the lower paying activities that can be done by somebody else. But if they do the first meeting, they negotiate the deal, and they show up at the end, that client knows that they were the main agent. Whereas if I just turn it over to another agent who then does everything else, the client's going to think that the team member, and I think a lot of main team people, they are depleting their business long term, because if I'm the main guy and I give you my buyer and you do a great job, they're not calling me, they're calling you. You're the one that now has that relationship with them.
So an agent who's in the business, building their business in the community, you keep them position A by providing that operational support. And you guys are doing this across all brands. This isn't a brokerage thing. This is you're partnered with.
We're in 47 states, I think.
And then how many different brokerages are, different agents have different brokerage affiliation partners?
We have Compass, Keller Williams, Century 21, you name it, and a lot of
EXP,
indie brokers.
EXP,
a lot of
up and down the list.
I think EXP is probably one of our larger organizations, but they also have more agents than most people as well. So that might be a part of that dynamic. But we also have a lot of small indie brokers that we work with.
All right, so we're Q4 of 25.
Yep.
We're about to do your great event tomorrow.
Super excited.
And that's going to be a really important event for a lot of people to close out this year and kind of refocus before the end of the year. What's your thoughts on the 2026 real estate market? You have any predictions, and how should agents be thinking about next year?
Okay. I don't have any predictions.
Do you think agents should be investing more for a bigger year? Is that too big of a risk to take? Just what's kind of like, you've seen a lot over the years.
Yep.
What's your gut take on, is 2026 going to be easier for agents than the last 3 years was?
I don't think it matters. I think they should be investing more.
Regardless of what the market does.
I think they can create their own micro economy, not focus on the macro at all. Focus on themselves. Focus on what they can do, what they can have an effect on. The serenity prayer is, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change and the courage to change the things I can. Mm-hmm. And we're so focused on everything else versus what can we change. And we have such margins. Commissions are still really, really high. If you're pouring into something that is not a lead-based advertising, but a branding base where you have a half-life in the dollar that you're spending, that's building a compounding effect in the mind of the consumer that you're going on, I don't think you can overinvest for an agent. And if they're not doing it, I think it's very short-sighted. So they should. But here's what I believe. We have been at the bottom of the market for a long period of time. And that there are people who are getting married, there are people who are having babies, there are people who are dying, there are people who are losing jobs, there are people who are getting different jobs, and they're all holding off and selling. But you can only constrain the real estate market for so long. And so some of this constraint is going to have to leak out at some point. And because we've been doing this for 3 years, I do believe that there is going to be more leakage of these people that have been holding off, that are just like, okay, I've got 3 kids and I got 1 bathroom. I've got to get something else. And so there are going to be more of those people. If we go from 4 million to 4.5 million sales, that takes us from basically 8 million to 9 million.
That's a 10% jump. I mean, it's in line with what Fannie Mae's projecting. So that's
the people who are active right now are going to get the majority of that business, because the people who have been dormant, it's not going to kick right back up for them. Yeah. So if people are active right now, I think it'd be just a small, even a 5% jump could be significant for the people that are active and working right now.
Yeah, I think at some point it breaks. Over 20% now of mortgage holders are up over 6%. So we're much more closer to the end than when we started, that's for sure.
Yeah, and then it will normalize.
James, I really appreciate you. Appreciate you having me here in Denver.
Like, I can't wait to hear your talk tomorrow. I've heard you once. I listen to you almost every day.
Thank you.
All right, and if I want to know what's going on in the marketplace, on my run, I start with you in the morning. And I get caught up, and I love your hot sheet. It's really good
I'm glad we met at the executive retreat in Colorado. Well, actually, we've been in Colorado. Both times we met each other have been in Colorado, but we were in Colorado earlier in the year at Housing Wire. It's really been a pleasure.
I feel honored to be invited to be on your podcast. Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure getting to share your story with a bunch of the agents. And let us know what you thought down below. James, thank you.
Thank you so much.